Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to my channel. Today we will be discussing how to propagate Echeverias. You see, Echeverias are a pretty looking succulent. They do have a rosette form that looks like a flower, but actually it is a plant itself. They do flower though, and these type of succulents, they store the water in their leaves, and they are summer growers. So that means to say the best time to propagate this is during late winter and early spring. Echeverias are a stunningly beautiful and elegant looking type of succulent. And the question is, how do you want to have more of this, especially when they come in different type of varieties and hybrids? I got 6 ways on how to propagate Echeverias. Let's begin. Propagation number 1, offsets. Normally, most of the Echeverias do have offsets or like babies. Especially when they grow mature, they're like they call it the hen and chicks sometimes, type of succulent. And if they really uh, age enough, this type of succulent, the Echeverias, produce babies using offsets, or they call it pups as well. And what you need to do is just slowly pull them out, swiggle it, and there you go. And it's been detached to the mother plant. So that's an offset. And all you need to do is either put it straight to the succulent soil, or you can wait for a few days to callus that one, just to avoid any further infection of the plant. I got another one here. This is called the Echeveria Afterglow. This is a large type succulent, and you see there's a offset in there. So you can pull that out from the stem. I'll just wait for it to grow it a little bit more. I'll come back for this one and the same thing that I did for this one, and just plant it straight away. Propagation number 2, cuttings. For the Echeverias, to do cuttings, what you need to do is on the middle of the rosette, or just like on the bottom part, you can get a knife or you can get a scissor, sharp one, and cut it in the middle until such time you remove its head or its crown, just like this. So this is a sample of what I did on the Echeveria hera like a couple days ago. So I cut it off and leaving only that bit of the succulent. So what does it normally do? First, you got a cutting, or we call it the head chop, and later on, probably a few months from now, it will produce babies. So just like this. So this is an Echeveria Romeo. I did a head chop like last month or 2 months ago, and now it got babies. So in this case I only got one baby for a pup. And this one is an ebony, an Echeveria lipstick, and it produces 4 babies. So technically for this plant I got now 5 Echeveria lipstick. So That's one of the fastest way to propagate Echeveria. I will show or make another video on how to properly do head chopping on these Echeverias. Propagation number 3, leaf cuttings. So all you need to do is just pull a leaf out of an Echeveria. So you just slowly wiggle it, and especially for the Echeveria PVN, the leaf can be easily detached. So we got a very clean cut in there, and nothing was left, no flesh was left on that rosette. So that means to say this is what we call a clean cut, and chances are this will survive. So remember, we have discussed the cuttings. So also for the cuttings, you can remove some of the leaves in here, not everything, but you can pull out some leaf on the top, and you can pull out some leaf on the bottom, this one. So I got a few leaves around here, so which I pull it out like a couple of days ago when I do the head chop of this one. So that's another form of propagation, the leaf propagation. And I'll show you uh, a successful leaf propagation that I have. These are some of the examples of the leaf propagation. Successfully pop up babies in there. So you've noticed what I did after getting the leaf from the rosette. I dried it up for a week and just basically put it on top of the soil. So normally you should have a succulent soil. This one is just an ordinary type of a soil, but I did some experimentation. I just leave it in there and let it wait for like few months or a month, depends on what type of echeveria it is, and later they'll just come out slowly on the tip, producing this type of babies. See it on? So just on the tip. So, and it will have roots. It will find its way down there, and it will just grow big just like this slowly. And I got a sample echeverias on the table that's been successful. So this is an example of a leaf propagation. This is an Echeveria Monroe, and now it's quite big already. See that one? So I just propagated this around early spring, and it's almost in the middle of summer right now, and the leaves are the propagated succulent using leaf now comes a plant, and it's big, and you get two heads. We call it two heads now. And take note that doing leaf propagation is just sometimes it's so easy to look at, but there are really type of echeverias that are really challenging, like this one. So this is quite compact underneath that one, so some of it can be easily pulled out, but one of the technique is to just really remove it from the pot and start it slowly at the bottom. But that process can sometimes be dreadful, because you might stress out the plant so much and it might die later on. The flower propagation. Did you know that echeverias do flower too? Although they look like flower, but they do flower. So this is another technique that not all out there knows that this exists. And I did some research and did some trials, and I was successfully uh, grow a plant out of the flower. So this is an example of an Echeveria fire and ice, and it did flower. And see that one, it's not that big enough, but mostly for big Echeverias they do flower big, and they got a with stalk in there. What you need to do is get some scissor and just cut it. Cut the flower in there. Oops. So see that one? All you need to do is just dry this out, callus, let it callus for probably a few days. And what I do as well is I remove the top, as this is a flower. So, or you can do leaf propagation from the flower too. So you can pluck it out. Get this one right. Yep, there you go. That one, that flower in there, can be propagated as well. So this is another example of a flower I cut like a week ago, and I removed the flower, the head, and what I do is I'll just put it in the soil just like that, and just let it wait. And I got a sample of a successful flower propagation, and this is a flower. So I think this is from the winter time when one of my big Echeverias flowered. So cut and just put it in the soil, and look, I got a big Echeveria already ready to be transplanted. And see, it got roots too. Another technique of propagation is using seeds. So if you don't have seeds, you have to wait for the Echeveria to flower and do cross pollination, and then once the flower get matured, it produces a seed pods, and inside the seed pods you'll have seeds on it, and all you need to do is put it in the soil. This topic is quite tricky and challenging, and sometimes it took years to do this one. The last way that I know how to propagate Echeverias is being used by the big nurseries. And this type of propagation requires sophisticated laboratories. And I won't discuss this, as this is one of the secret. And probably soon on my future blogs, I might show you on how some of the nursery do massive succulent propagation. So these are the examples of my propagation. So that's all for now. Hope to see you soon. Bye.